So, recently, for absolutely no reason at all, people have decided to stop playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and have been looking for its next replacement. Ideally, something that fits the same mold. So, a lot of eyes have been falling onto its biggest competitor, Pathfinder 2nd edition, and for good reason. At their core, they fill very similar niches. They're both fantasy, action, adventure RPGs with dwarves, elves, and wizards where you level up, cast spells, kill goblins, and take their treasures. So why should you try Pathfinder 2nd edition instead of D&D 5e? You know, aside from the obvious reason. Well, that's what I'm here today to tell you. At first glance, the games seem incredibly similar, but once you've actually started playing them, you'll realize they're two very different means to the same end. Sure, they might tell a similar story, but the mechanics and experience of how you tell that story are very, very different. So today, I'm going to list 5 major differences that separates Pathfinder 2e from D&D 5th edition. And if you like this video and it gets enough traction, maybe I'll make another one, because trust me, there's way more than 5. But before we jump into that, I want to give a huge reminder to the Sinclair's Library backers. There's about 60 or 70 of you who have not answered your backer kit surveys yet, and we want to know exactly what we need to prepare to print. So we're going to be closing those off in just about a week or two, so make sure you fill out those surveys while you can. Now don't panic. If you watch this video in 2 weeks and you missed the deadline, just reach out to us. We can still get you the products you want. It's not the end of the world, just easier for us if you finish it within the next week and a half. Additionally, if you haven't pre-ordered Sinclair's Library yet, click the link in the description and check it out. This is my own company's published work for Pathfinder 2nd edition and D&D 5th edition. Currently, it is 2 brand new books available for both systems, one of which is the Almanac, which is full of player options like classes, ancestries, archetypes, and all that good stuff. The other one is an NPC codex full of amazing NPCs that you can just rip out of there and plug right into your game. Everything from the local blacksmith to an angelic aeon of destruction. So if you want to pre-order that, you can get it right now at our website, link in the description, and all backers and pre-orders get access to our playtest packages, the first of which is live right now and contains both the Cronag ancestry, Bovian ancestry, a bunch of archetypes, an example of one of our massive Nemesis NPCs, which are like 10 plus pages long with a bunch of information about them, how to use them, stat blocks, magic items. It's huge. This playtest package is massive and it's available to all backers and pre-orders right now. So go check it out. We're so proud of Sinclair's Library and we're getting closer and closer to its release date. Thank you all for your patience and support. Let's get on with the video. Difference number 1. Character creation! If your only experience with a fantasy RPG is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, character creation might feel like something that doesn't need to be expanded upon. You pick a race, you pick a background, you pick a class, you're done. Maybe you roll for stats, if not, you use standard array. Pathfinder 2e takes that whole classic style of building a character, throws it out the window, stomps on it, and rewrites all of it. Now, rather than rolling for stats or picking from a standard array, every choice you make during character creation will decide your starting ability scores. Your ancestry gives you boosts, your background gives you boosts, your class gives you boosts, and there are free boosts you get to assign yourself. This all leads to a process that, rather than getting stats and then making your character becomes much more like assembling them out of Legos, with each piece making them good at something else. This means that every choice matters, not only for roleplay, but for mechanics as well. If you want to make that super knowledgeable, high intelligence wizard, you might pick an elf for the bonus to intelligence, the scholar background for another bonus to intelligence, you're playing a wizard for another bonus to intelligence, and then you can apply a free boost to crank it to 18. This means if you want to, you can always start with an 18 in your main stat. It's not required. You can still experiment and diversify your assets if you want to, but there's no more hoping you roll 3 6s. Another huge difference at character creation that can feel overwhelming is that every class has options right at level 1. Every class gets their subclass right away at the start of the game, and on top of that, Most classes can also pick from class feats at first level. So right when you're making a level 1 character, you're picking your class, you're picking your subclass, you might be picking a feat, you might be picking spells. There are so many options available right for a level 1 character. Look at this. Those are just level 1 fighter feats. Difference number 2. Types of feats. If you're used to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you might be used to only receiving an optional feat every 4 levels. Well, Pathfinder 2e is completely different in that regard, in that feats are not only mandatory, they are not optional in this system, but you get them every single level. But they're also a bit more organized. You're no longer picking from one master list of feats. Rather, each time you level up, you gain access to a new type of feat. In the game, there are 4 distinct types of feats, and those are ancestry feats, skill feats, general feats, and class feats. Most of these are honestly pretty self-explanatory. An ancestry feat represents your genealogy or upbringing with things like goblin lore or kobold breath. These will typically be abilities or knowledge or little quirks related to who you are or where you came from. Class feats are a little more complicated. They're feats you gain from your class. These will typically be your upgrades to your combat abilities, though rarely will they ever be direct numerical upgrades. Rather, they'll give you new options or reactions to use in combat to make you more flexible, but not usually directly more powerful. A level 1 fighter doesn't have any feats that say, do 10 more damage, but they do have feats that let you grab for free, or attack twice at lower penalty, or attack once for extra damage, but it costs more actions. None of them are necessarily direct upgrades, but they're new options. Skill feats are gained every even level and are used to grant you new ways to use your character's skills. This is what takes people a little bit to get used to, because they'll see something like Intimidating Glare, which lets you intimidate with your eyes instead of your mouth. A lot of first-time players will just say, why can't I just do that? Why can't I just glare at somebody? Why do I need a feat for that? And it's a totally fair complaint. They're mostly added as a mechanical balance because it grants you an upgrade of some kind. You need to spend a feat to gain it. This isn't really written in the rules, but it's how I handle it. I will let anybody attempt anything, even if it's locked behind a skill feat like Intimidating Glare, but I will not make them as good at it. If you have the Intimidating Glare skill feat, it means you have practiced and trained to make your glare as intimidating as possible. If you don't have the skill feat, maybe I'll reduce the penalty rather than getting rid of it altogether like the feat does, but I can't let you have the same bonus as someone who took the feat. I hope that makes sense. And general feats are general feats that are available to all characters. You get them at level 3 and then every 4 levels afterwards, and these are typically the most direct upgrades you will have access to. Things like improved proficiency with armor, faster movement speed, improved initiative rolls, etc. They're some of the most interesting feats out there, but you only get 5 of them by level 20, so make your choices count. They're very powerful, but there's only so many you can take. So while it might sound overwhelming that there's 4 different types of feat that you get every single level, it's really not as bad as it sounds, and at most you'll be getting 2 feats per level. Difference number 3. All the rules are free. I posted this on Twitter yesterday, and it got so many likes, and I'm realizing more and more people don't actually know that every single mechanical rule for Pathfinder 2nd edition is on Archives of Nethys, completely for free. This is not illegal. This is not pirating. Paizo endorses this website. They want you to play their game. So if anybody ever uses the excuse, I don't want to invest in Pathfinder 2e, I don't want to spend all that money on new books, you don't have to. Everything is there. If you go to Google and type in anything space 2e, Nethys will pop up. If you type in Barbarian 2e, you'll get the class page. If you type in Goblin Warrior 2e, you will get the monster stat block. If you type in Greatsword 2e, you will get the item's information always at the top of the page, as Archives of Nethys is just so useful for anybody playing this system. completely for free! Now, there is one exception for what is not on Archives of Nethys, and that is lore. Any lore book is not on Archives of Nethys. You will not find information on specific noteworthy NPCs. You also will not find the pre-written adventure paths on Archives of Nethys. But you will find all of the mechanical content from those adventures, meaning unique monster stat blocks, unique magic items, unique archetypes, unique spells. Anything mechanical from those books is still on Archives of Nethys. This website is insane, and I cannot stress that enough. But still buy the books because the art is really pretty and everyone is hot. Difference number 4. Conditions. If you're used to playing D&D 5e, you might see conditions as advantage or disadvantage. If you inflict some kind of penalty on a creature, it usually gives disadvantage. If you give yourself some kind of bonus, it typically just means you get advantage. Pathfinder 2e goes a lot further than this, and for the most part removes the advantage-disadvantage system, except for a few niche cases. Rather, each condition in Pathfinder 2e does something completely unique. Some of them reduce ability scores, like clumsy or stupefied. Some of them can completely shut you down, like petrified or sleep, and even others can reduce everything a character does! Seriously, if you have played Pathfinder 2e and you have not used the frightened or sickened conditions yet, get on that. Those reduce everything by their value. If you inflict something with frightened 2 by critically hitting a demoralized check, they get -2 to attack rolls, skill checks, saving throws. Freaking armor class is reduced by the frightened condition. Conditions are so freaking powerful in this system, and if you don't use them, they will be used against you. Plus, it's so funny when the GM has this really fancy, intricate boss fight set up, and the cleric just hits them with a spell, and they crit fail their fortitude save, so they get sickened too, and they take a -2 penalty to everything, almost effectively leveling them down 2 levels, so the party just gangs up and murders the boss as the boss proceeds to miss every single attack because the GM can't roll above a Difference number 5. Teamwork is important. Pathfinder 2e has put some special stress on the fact that a team working together will always be more powerful than a single character. And this is due in no small part to the way they've handled bonuses in this system. Pathfinder 2e only has 3 distinct types of bonuses, and those are circumstance, status, and item. A circumstance bonus is something you gained from the circumstances. If you raise your shield, you get that circumstance bonus to your armor class, because the circumstance is that you're hiding behind the shield. A status bonus is typically provided by either a spell, special ability, or condition. For example, if somebody casts heroism on you, that bonus to attack rolls is considered a status bonus. And an item bonus is self-explanatory. If you have a +2 longsword, it's giving you a +2 item bonus to your attack rolls because it's coming from an item. So why does this inherently make single characters less powerful? Well, Pathfinder 2e has a very specific rule that you can only be affected by one type of each bonus, meaning maximum you can have 1 item bonus, 1 circumstance bonus, and 1 status bonus on the same effect. If you have a +1 longsword item bonus to attack rolls, and you have a ring that gives you a +1 item bonus to attack rolls, you still only have a +1 item bonus to attack rolls. They do not stack. You only take the highest one. And you'll be hard-pressed to find much of anything in this game that gives higher than a +2, maybe a +3 at higher levels. So even if you manage to get 3 +2 bonuses to attack rolls from item, status, and circumstance, you're getting +6, which is still huge, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot easier to get that and stack that on top of teamwork. With teamwork, you can do things like get better bonuses like the aforementioned heroism on someone like a fighter who would be unable to grant themselves a status bonus. Additionally, maybe the wizard will cast fear to inflict a frightened condition to reduce the target's armor class while you flank with your rogue, granting them flat-footed, which also reduces their armor class. Combine all of this with a champion who can reduce damage dealt to allies, a ranger who has insane single target damage, a monk who can chase down any enemy with their crazy movement speed, or any of the spellcasters and their 5 million different special effects depending on their spells, and your sheer breadth of options, wide array of conditions, and various bonuses will make you so much stronger than you could ever be by yourself. Additionally, action economy is more important than ever in this game. Because Pathfinder 2e uses its 3-action system where any action can be used on anything, 3 actions might mean 3 more attacks, or 3 more movements, or 3 more anything. A 2v2 is 6 actions versus 6 actions, but a 2v3 is suddenly 6 actions versus 9 actions. Not only is it more hit points and more attacks per round, but that's just 9 more actions you get to add to your side of the economy, which can change everything. Teamwork has never been more important than it is in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And those are 5 huge differences between D&D 5e and Pathfinder 2nd Edition. There is so much more I could cover, especially when we dive into actual character progression, monster stat blocks, the way the game is run, combat, roleplay. Everything has massive differences, but I figured I'd start with these 5 easily digestible ones just for you. If you do want to see more like this, like another 5 differences, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more. I see all you like 4,000, 5,000 new subscribers. Hello, how are you? I'm glad to have y'all here, and I really hope you'll stick around and enjoy some Pathfinder content. I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel. If you would like to also support the channel financially, there is a join button right below this video. Hit it, you can pledge for as little as 99 cents a month, and it really goes a long way. Another huge shout out to Sinclair's library. Finish off your backer kit surveys in your emails, or if you want to pre-order it, link is in the description. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones.